Your adventure sleep system doesn't have to be uncomfortable or flimsy in order for it to be lightweight. So how do you balance it being comfortable and lightweight? Well, in this video I'm going to show you how I do it. Let's start with the sleeping pad. I use the women's version of the Thermarest Neo Air X Lite. It only weighs 12 ounces and has an R value of 5.4, which is pretty incredible. I can use that sleeping pad pretty much in any season. So 12 ounces, which is super light, and an R value of 5.4. Pretty incredible. Now, if you're too tall for the women's version of the Thermarest Neo Air X Lite, you can go ahead and try out the non-women specific Thermarest Neo Air X Lite. It is made for people who are taller. The women's version is only good for folks probably around 5'4", 5'5", so it works fine for me since I'm only about 5'1". But yeah, the non-women specific Thermarest Neo Air X Lite still has an R value of 4.2 and is still only 12 ounces, so still a fairly high R value, and 12 ounces, so still really light, the same weight as the women's version. Back in the day, if you wanted a lightweight sleeping pad, your only option was really just to get one of those little thin, chintzy little foam sleeping pads that, you know, not only did you feel like you were sleeping on the hard ground on that thing, but it also had a low R value, which meant that you might be cold. But nowadays, you don't have to do that. You can get a fairly plush sleeping pad, a comfortable sleeping pad, for a pretty lightweight and get a fairly high R value, so you can be comfortable and warm. My next piece of kit for my sleep system is this quilt. I use the Enlightened Equipment Enigma. It is a 20-degree quilt, so fairly warm. It weighs just under 20 ounces, which is really light for 20 degrees. So my old sleeping bag, it was a full sleeping bag. It was a 15-degree bag, so 5 degrees warmer. But that thing weighed 34 ounces, so 14 ounces more just for a measly 5 degrees difference. So the savings of 14 ounces is totally worth it for me. Now, I have found with this quilt that I do need to make sure that I have a sleeping pad with a decent R value if it's going to be chilly out, which is why the X Lite works out perfect for me, because it does have that really high R value and it's still super lightweight. So if you're thinking about switching to a quilt, also keep in mind that you're going to want to pay attention to that R value in your sleeping pad. So the next part of my kit is kind of controversial. I do bring a pillow. I use the Nemo Pillow Elite pillow. It weighs 2.8 ounces. Now, some people will say you do not need a pillow. Now, that might be true for some people. Some people, they have extra clothes with them. They just throw those in a stuff sack and they have a pillow. They are good to go. However, when I backpack, I generally don't have any extra clothes to be throwing in a stuff sack. And if I don't have a pillow, I tend to wake up with neck pain, which always turns into a headache. So I do opt to bring this pillow. It saves me a lot of neck pain and gets me more comfortable sleep. Now, if you do happen to bring extra clothes with you backpacking, then maybe you don't need the pillow. Maybe you can save yourself 2.8 ounces, and that would be awesome. But I don't have extra clothes, so I use that pillow. Now, keep in mind, if you do go with one of these air-filled pillows, everyone has a different preference as far as how much air they put in the pillow. So keep that in mind. If you're finding that you're uncomfortable with it, try playing around with how much air you put in that pillow. So all of these items put together weighs about 35 ounces. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to get a fairly comfortable sleep system that is also fairly light. I mean, 35 ounces. My old sleeping bag itself weighed about 34 ounces, so now I have everything in my sleep system for just 35 ounces or so, and it's fairly comfortable. Now, keep in mind, everybody has different preferences. Some people may be colder, might sleep warmer, so they might need a different system. So keep that in mind. Just because this system works for me, you know, it might not work for you, so you might have to try different things. Regardless of the sleep system that you have, just to get on out there and adventure. Just make sure that you have the appropriate sleeping gear for the weather that you are going out in. So what are you guys using in your sleep systems? I am always into trying new things, so I would be super curious to see what other people are using. Leave them down in the comments. I would love to read about those. If you got any value out of this video, please give it a thumbs up and please consider subscribing. If you are trying to decide which sleeping pad to get, I did shoot a video comparing the X-Lite with the Sea to Summit Ultralight Insulated Sleeping Pad. You can check that video out. I'm not really sure where it's gonna show up on here, but anyways, you can check that video out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes.